Join UF Hall of Famer and 14-year NFL vet Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Good morning. It's a live edition of PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security Systems Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. It is Tuesday, a little change in the schedule. We're going to have JC, who had a engagement or something going on yesterday, and then we'll have Jerry Odom, who had cell phone service up in the mountains up in North Carolina yesterday. So he will join us about 8:30. If you missed it, Carson Beck is coming back to the Georgia Bulldogs. He will play in their bowl game. And the Gators play the Michigan Wolverines tonight in the Jumpman Classic. So tomorrow's National Signing Day. Gators will have a couple of guys, big name guys that will sign. I'm very confident in that because it's all about the dollars, JC. Kind of like you. It's all about the money.
Yeah, man. Well, you were concerned about that, but it looks like the Gators are ponying up.
I'm never concerned about anything that happens in recruiting, ever.
No, I was talking about the money. You were concerned about Florida.
Well, the money is ridiculous. Here's what I will tell you. If you're a top 50 player, so-called in America, you are going to get paid a lot of money to wherever you're going. I'm just telling you that's the way it is.
Well,
schools are matching. You're getting offered this from school X, and then the team you're going to sign with, you have to up the ante to outbid them. That's the only way it's happening. It's happening all over America. I saw Florida State has another defensive lineman going in the portal. Anyway, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So there you have it.
Well, I recall you being somewhat concerned that Florida wasn't going to compete financially with the Alabamas, Georgias, Texases of the world. And evidently that might not be the case. It sounds like they're stepping up. But I tell you, QB, I don't know how long this can go on. I really don't. Until the money runs out, or at some point people just don't do it anymore with these kids. But, until numbers come out.
I think I texted you this yesterday.
Yes.
And this is just my opinion. There is no way, and I probably wouldn't win any games if I was coaching, but there is no way that I'm giving a kid who has never proven or proved, whatever the correct term is, that he can play at major college football level any type of money until I see him perform. I just think it is ridiculous.
I know.
You're rolling the freaking dice.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. It's nuts.
You're betting on the come line, but QB, the problem is everybody else is.
Right. I get it. And I firmly believe this, that Florida's in a bind right now because we have been losing. If the transfer portal and NIL had come about when Coach Spurrier was coaching or Urban Meyer, Florida would have the pick of the litter. Yeah. They could pick anybody in America. We'd be turning people away. That's what some of the other schools are doing now. Real quick, let me get to some stuff I got to read here. Just wanted to give a shout out to Spurrier's Restaurant. We had the dinner the other night of the winter. It was great. If you want to get any gift cards online at Spurrier's, use GC20 to get 20% off. But the dinner was great for our winner. I think that this was picked before the season. We'll have another contest at some point, but appreciate Spurrier's taking care of us for the dinner. What else did I want to talk about? There was something else that came up that I had to talk about now, and I can't remember, but we'll get to it in a minute.
Well, I can give you some NFL info.
Right, real quick. We're going to talk about the NFL. I need to read this Facebook Live here, brought to you by Meldon Law. It's Randy says, how can the QB from Western Kentucky be in the portal and still lead the comeback versus Old Dominion? That's like their quarterback that played all year was not the quarterback in this game. They played like 2 or 3 quarterbacks. They were down like 35-7 and came back and won. But it wasn't their quarterback. Right. It was their backup and third string guy.
Yes, and
All
that's
right, what were
why.
you going to say?
Well, and that's why the line changed so dramatically to ODU's favor. And you're right, they were up 28-7. And Western Kentucky scored 21 points in the fourth quarter within about 5 minutes. It was really stunning to watch if you happen to watch it. Some of these sidebar bowl games are pretty damn exciting, QB.
Yeah. All right, before we get to NFL, John wants to know, I know he says, I know you don't follow recruiting, but how big of a deal is it Nebraska flipped a 5-star QB from Georgia? It's not a big deal at all. It was going to happen. The kid, his uncle is a coach for Nebraska, and his dad is one of the greatest players in the history of Nebraska. Dylan Raiola is his name. Everybody knew he was going to.
It's a big deal for Nebraska.
Well, it is, but it's not like just a school flipped a kid just to flip a kid. His dad was an All-American lineman there. His uncle is on the staff. So,
well, speaking of Georgia, I think I saw somewhere where 18 players or something are in the portal for the Bulldogs. And I'm just going to speculate. I have no basis of this, but I've been reading more and more, QB, about Kirby Smart going to the Falcons at the end of the season. And I don't know if that has anything to do with anything. I'm not trying to connect the two, right? But you've got a lot of kids leaving Georgia. This is the first time that's happened, I think, since we started this transfer portal stuff. But Kirby Smart to the Falcons might be something you hear more about going forward, because I think Kirby's kind of like, in a way, sitting next to you in this college football thing, where he's basically saying, this is just a pain in the ass. I could go to the Atlanta Falcons, get $10 million or more from Arthur Blank, and just draft players. Now, it's a different world, but I wouldn't be surprised. Let's just say that. I think that's a real possibility that the Atlanta Falcons give Kirby Smart an offer. Doesn't mean he'll take it, but I bet you they do give him an offer. Last night was a tremendous finish in the Seattle-Philadelphia game. It had a lot to do with the seedings in the NFC and kept the Seahawks alive. And how about Drew Lock, a kid that hasn't played in years, really, and basically comes in, is named the starting quarterback during the day yesterday, and engineers a 92-yard drive. I don't know if you watched it, but it was pretty impressive with DK.
No, I went to bed at halftime.
Well, DK Metcalf and Jackson Smith in Jigba and Drew Lock went to work on the Eagles, and the Eagles have now lost 3 straight games. But I think the Eagles are still in pretty good shape to win their division because of the way the schedule works out here in the next 3 weeks. But Seattle stays alive. They flexed that game last night from the Kansas City, New England game, meaning they moved the Mahomes and the Chiefs out of Monday Night Football, made them play Sunday, and put the Seahawks and the Eagles on Monday Night Football last night. And it was an entertaining game, mostly in the second half, but it keeps the Seahawks alive. They win by 3, and a touchdown pass from Drew Lock with 28 seconds left, a beautiful corner out down the sideline. So in the NFC, you've got the 49ers and the Cowboys as the top 2 seeds still. Believe it or not, Dallas is still 2, Lions 3, Tampa is 4. The Eagles drop down to 5, but this all could change. Vikings are 6, and my Rams come in at number 7 with the Seahawks and Saints right on their heels. The Saints and the Rams will play on Thursday night on the Amazon network. So that's in the NFC. The AFC has your Ravens at 1, the Dolphins at 2, Kansas City is 3, Jacksonville's struggling. They've lost 3 straight games in the AFC North. They are 4th still because they have tiebreakers on the Colts and Houston Texans. Cleveland is 5, Cincinnati 6, Colts 7, and then Houston, Buffalo, and to a lesser degree, Pittsburgh and Denver are still alive for the AFC.
So, JC, you've dumped your Jaguar hat and put your Rams hat on.
Well, I can wear either. I haven't worn the Rams hat yet this year, and they've given me a reason to. Listen, Les Snead and Sean McVay have done a tremendous job getting this team to 7-7. And frankly, they should have beat the Baltimore Ravens 2 weeks ago, but didn't. But they are 7-7 and can get a wild card berth. They'll end up probably 6 or 7 and have to play at Detroit or at Philadelphia or at Dallas and not win. But getting into the playoffs would be a tremendous accomplishment for a team that's basically just patched together. And Demarcus Robinson, your former Gator, is making quite a splash for the LA Rams. He is taking a large role in where Matthew Stafford, who's having a great year, Hall of Fame quarterback, Super Bowl winner, Demarcus Robinson is making an impact for the Rams. So I was excited to see how he's played. They may keep him on the roster. He's played well for them.
He's been in the league a long time. Gator
Yeah.
MF on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plum, says the transfer portal pickups look like second string guys. We need a Ricky Pearsall level pickup, a couple of them. Well, hang on.
Well,
We don't know. We didn't even know who Ricky Pearsall was when he signed here. I mean, so you don't. I mean that you've seen Ricky play. You haven't seen these guys play, so you can't make that assumption. Jeff says, why would Kirby want to tarnish his legend by taking a lousy job with the Falcons?
well,
I don't think he's going anywhere. I think whatever. If the Falcons were to offer him something, JC,
yeah.
I think Georgia matches it.
Mhm.
I think a lot of those guys in the portal, some are starters, very few are, but I think these other guys want to play and probably see the writing on the wall because it's very similar to Alabama. They got so much talent there. Guys want to play and guys don't. They have their mamas and their daddies and their uncles and their aunts and their posse and their coach and their little league coach and their 7-on-7 coach telling them, man, you can
Yeah.
go here and play right away and get paid.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
No, it's just a wild hunch. It's not. There's nothing to it really, but it's just been all over X. In certain respects, listen, this is just speculation. I'm not saying what that would happen at all, but Atlanta's going to get a new coach. That I can't tell you. I don't think Arthur Smith survives this year, especially after that fiasco in Carolina Sunday.
Yeah. Roosevelt State Farm offers a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visitogreinsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1779. Speaking with JC on the Titan Hotline, we'll have Jerry Odom, new Western Carolina defensive coordinator, get his thoughts. He lost a couple kids in Division II to the portal as well before he left, and Kerwin's lost some guys. It happens. Kids perform at that level and get an opportunity to go elsewhere. JC, I want to read This Day in Sports, brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union. All right, since you're a hockey wizard, in
Yes.
1917,
Oh Lord.
the first NHL game was played on artificial ice in Toronto. Can you
Ooh.
tell me what artificial ice is?
Yeah. No, I can't. I don't know how there's only one way you make ice to me, and that's freeze water. So I'm not sure
Right.
how else you can make ice. Maybe it's some sort of plastic. I don't know, with some lubricant on the surface.
Well, that happened, they were making artificial ice in 1917. So
Okay. Well, I don't know why they had to do that. I mean, I'm sure it got below 32 degrees in 1917. I will say, as far as hockey goes, it's so early in the season, nothing is really established. But our Lightning and Panthers in the state of Florida are formidable. They're not in first place, but they'll likely be playoff teams by in about 4 months' time. But yeah, I do watch the hockey. I do watch it, but I really don't watch it until the beginning of the year. Same with basketball. I know the Gators are playing Michigan tonight, and oddly enough, I think Florida is a 3 or 4 point favorite against Michigan. Don't know how good Michigan is. But for some reason, this has been my complaint with basketball in December, and that is all of these neutral site games. Just to me are just so disinteresting because I don't know what you get out of playing Michigan in Charlotte, North Carolina. But money is what
because when you it's a Jumpman Classic, and when you play a quality opponent on the road or at a neutral site, it helps your rankings and all that RPI and all that crap out because you got to think about it, JC. When you play in the NCAA tournament, they're all neutral sites.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I know that students are not on campus right now, so a lot of schools won't have that home court environment that they seek when January starts and the second semester begins for everybody. But good Lord. I mean, you'll have 4,000 fans there probably. And I guess that's a good exercise. I don't know. It seems like a lot of traveling for nothing. But I don't know. I mean, this is just my little complaint. I'm sure that it's a good thing. And I'm sure everybody's happy that they're going to Charlotte to play against Michigan. Michigan's a 6-5 team. Florida's a 7-3 team. Flip a coin. That's what I look at it. Flip a coin.
Josh on Titan Mar text line wants to know how many hats you have, JC.
About 300. And some teams I have two. Like I also have a white Rams hat. I have a creamsicle Tampa Bay hat and the regular pewter hat. I have both teal and black Jaguars hats. I have baseball. I have hockey. I have football, and I love the college hats. I almost broke out the NC State hat because I think the Wolfpack are going to win their bowl game today, but I didn't think that would be anything to talk about, even though I just brought it up. But I do have a lot of college hats too, QB. I love Florida hats. I have the UF. I have the running Gator. I have the big muscle Gator. I'm not a fan of the Robo Gator that you love and everybody here loves. I like the old-fashioned 70s Gator with the barrel chest who looks like he's going to beat the hell out of you. I'd rather see that logo depicted by this school, but there's a lot of things I'd rather see by this school, like maybe winning more than 5 games. So there's a lot of things I complain about and want, but it doesn't mean it's going to happen. So I'll just shut up. Listen, I'm happy that they are upgrading that stadium over there. And I know for a lot of people sitting in the touchdown terrace in the Champions Club and the 7th and 6th floor, which I call the hotel, is a lot of fun. But the majority of folks sit on bench seats. And that's just not the way it should be anymore here in the year 2024. So I'm really glad they are upgrading that stadium. I know people want to spend money on other things. If you don't have a comfortable place to watch football, you ain't getting dudes like me at that place. Unless I'm in the hotel. And then it's like I don't even see the game because I'm out there socializing with Eric Rett and all these great people, and I don't even watch the damn game. So I would rather see comfort in front of capacity, and then you'll see full stadiums. I don't think you need 90,000 seats in a college stadium, QB. How many places have 90,000 seats other than maybe a few stadiums in the Big Ten and a few in the SEC? So
yeah. Wes has a question here on Facebook Live brought to you by Melon Law. Great show. What about the rumors of Willie Corn as the OC and the Jags? Some kind of coach coming. I have not heard anything about a Jaguars coach coming. Willie Corn's name's been thrown out there. I don't know. Look.
Why?
Willie Corn may be a great offensive coordinator. I don't know anything about him. I know he played quarterback at Clemson. I know he's called plays at Charleston Southern, at Coastal Carolina, and at Liberty. So I can guarantee you this time next year, if Willie Corn is our coordinator, people will be bitching and complaining.
So what about the criticism that I've heard from many folks, both friends of ours and people we don't know, say that Billy just has too much on his plate?
I've addressed that. There's some truth to it, but there's also multiple coaches doing the play calling and everything. Look, I think, and this comes from my experience of being around football my entire life and being in meetings and being in huddles on the sideline, all that stuff.
Yeah.
When you are the play caller, other people have responsibilities to be looking at other things. And I don't think those other people do a very good job at that. Now, does it fall on the head coach? Yes. So I think the head coach needs to find guys that can do their roles. So
I think you can also I think you need to cut the fat a little bit. I don't think you need all these people. I think too many people creates too much confusion, and it's not something that allows for flow or simplicity. Let's get the staff down. I mean, I just think there's too much. There's just too damn much. Now, I'm not there. I just hear people criticize all of the numbers that they have over there for what? And I know he's done some good things. He's done good things with their nutrition. He's done good things with their facility. He's done good things behind the scenes, but people are paying for what they see on Saturday, and that has got to get better.
Yep. Michael says artificial ice is made from polyethylene plastic in sheets that interconnect. That sounds terrible. Sounds like a terrible way to play hockey.
Yeah, it doesn't sound fun. Doesn't sound fun. No, but yeah. So anyway, QB, I just wanted to update also, the Jags, you mentioned the Jags. They are still the 4th seed in the AFC. They play at Tampa. We don't know if Trevor Lawrence is going to be able to play. He's in concussion protocol, apparently. Then they have Carolina and Tennessee at Tennessee and Carolina at home. They have the tiebreakers on the Houston and Colts, but the way they're playing right now, I'm very concerned about Jacksonville, especially at the quarterback position, and just injuries have eaten them alive. Christian Kirk not playing, Lyman not playing, Cam Robinson out, a couple guys on defense, they're struggling. And this is really depressing because I was really counting on a home playoff game. Might not happen.
My Buffalo Bills are probably playing better than anybody in the AFC, and they probably ain't going to make the playoffs.
No, I think they have a shot. I think they do have a shot. They're going to beat the Chargers. It may come down to what they do at Miami because
they'll beat Miami. Miami and Dallas are the same exact teams.
Well,
they play great at home, and they beat up on awful football teams.
All teams. The Chargers and Patriots are awful football teams, and Buffalo will play them. I think you're going to see the Bills in as either the wild card or on an outside chance, the division winner, because of that last game against Miami. Now, Miami is at home this week against Dallas. If Miami loses to Dallas, just say they do, then the Buffalo Bills might end up playing that game against Miami for the division. Now, if Miami beats Dallas, it's pretty much just a wild card spot. But Buffalo can still win the division and get a home game, and nobody wants to deal with Buffalo right now. So I think Sean McDermott, for all of the criticism he's gotten this year, dude, getting Joe Brady to get with Josh Allen has really helped with the turnover issues that they have, and I think their offensive run game. Their run game, that they ran all over Dallas, and I think teams can do that, but Buffalo exposed them. And I was surprised to see that. And if the Bills get a home playoff game, just go ahead and put them in the divisional round. Get them in there. Mm-hmm. They'll beat the wild card team.
Mark says, is it me or are there more bad NFL teams this year than usual?
I think there are. I think
you got a lot. There's a lot of parity in the NFL, and a lot of it has to do with when star quarterbacks get hurt.
Yes.
And you're playing second, third, fourth string quarterbacks. And look, there's only a handful of world-class quarterbacks in the world, Now there's 30-something teams, and they each have two quarterbacks. Some of the guys shouldn't be in the NFL.
Well, but you got to hand it to the Bengals kid Browning from Washington. He's a Washington Husky. Jake Browning's been tremendous for Cincinnati. Has kept their season alive and will likely get them in as a wild card team. And then how about Joe Flacco, QB? He was sitting on the couch 3 weeks ago, literally watching football or television when he got a phone call from the Cleveland Browns, who I think this is their fourth quarterback right now. And Flacco has just done Flacco kind of stuff. Nothing dramatic, but he's kept them in it, and he's getting the ball to people like Cooper and Njoku. And the Browns are for real. That's a defense that you don't want to deal with either. And so, listen, the NFL is tricky. It's tricky. Only one team gets a bye, and 2 through 7 will play. If you can get the 2 seed, you're guaranteed 2 home games if you win the first one. So that 2 seed is huge for the Dolphins. It's just as big and maybe bigger for the Cowboys because of what you just said about how well they play at home and how slippery they can get on the road. The Cowboys will play Detroit, by the way, in a couple of weeks. That could really turn that 2-3 number upside down and get the Lions in there. And who wants to go to Detroit for 2 straight games or, to play the Lions? Nobody wants to do that either. So I think the Bucs are playing well. Baker Mayfield has had the game of the season last week against Green Bay. It was unbelievable. And I think a tricky team could be the Rams. But the Saints and Rams play Thursday night. That's a very important game for the playoffs. And I still think you better keep your eye on Kansas City. As you know as well as I do, QB, the Chiefs will likely play a game at Arrowhead. If they get that game at Arrowhead, then they will likely travel.
I will tell you this right now: the Chiefs will have a different receiving core next year.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they really lack at that position. You're correct about it.
Yeah, and I don't think Kadarius Toney will not be a part of it.
He's not. He didn't have a good game the other day either.
He has not played well at all this year for them. He drops too many balls. Nothing against him, but he's exactly the type of receiver I thought he would be.
Yeah, well, it's too bad. I like the guy, but I mean, he was pretty effective for the Giants, but he couldn't get it going there. And you're right.
Well, he's good at reverses and shallow crosses and wide receiver screens. Down the field stuff, he struggles. Yeah. Justin says, ironically, the Colts wouldn't be in the playoffs picture if Minshew didn't replace an injured AR.
Yeah.
Look, Gardner Minshew is a really good player. He'll play in that league a long, long time. The Colts have the pieces, though. They've been good the last few years. They have a really good offensive line. Yeah. That division is just really weird to me. But they still may make it.
They could easily make it. They need some help, though. They need Jacksonville to lose. Right now, they're the 7th seed in the AFC today. But there's still 3 games to play. They will play the Houston Texans. Great job by the Case Keenum for the Houston Texans. I think you could say
he was on the Manning cast last night.
Yeah, he was great. DeMeco Ryan is going to be one of the NFL Coach of the Year candidates. There's no doubt about it. They have
Should be. He should
and
be.
He absolutely should be. They drafted well. Two of the guys, their first two picks are influential in their team. Obviously, the quarterback, but Will Anderson's played well on defense for the Houston Texans. That is a team that has turned their entire culture around in Houston, and the fans like going to the stadium and watching the game. My son lives about 10 minutes from the stadium. He says the place has got Houston Texans stuff everywhere. It used to be Houston Astros, Houston Astros, Houston Astros. Now everybody's wearing the Texan stuff, and why wouldn't they? They don't have a hockey team, and the Rockets suck. So I think that's good for the city of Houston. The Cougars are terrible. They're garbage. They fired Dana Holgerson. Now, basketball, the Houston Cougars are a real deal. And I think they're a top 5 or top 6 team in basketball. So the Houston Cougars will give that city something to cheer for in the spring run. Yeah.
All right. We got to get
you want
we got to
Jerry?
get out of here because we got to talk to Coach Odom.
Okay.
Have a good day, JC.
Give Coach Odom my best. Go Carolina, Western Carolina. We'll see you tomorrow.
That's JC. Join us on the Titan More Hotline. Take a quick timeout. We'll come back. We'll have former Gator linebacker, now new defense coordinator at Western Carolina, Jerry Odom, join us on the Titan More Hotline. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the Morning. We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law attorneys of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Campus USA, put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union. Dave & Buster's, eat, drink, play, watch. Duffield Home Improvements for your window, siding, and roofing needs. Radware, your local provider of promotional products, uniforms, and apparel. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Silverback Concrete, Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance, Radware, F45, Quality Plumbing. Our touchdown sponsors are Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteak, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Q Billiards and Sports Bar. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Pro football legend Emmitt Smith understands your joint pain.
It does not surprise me that there are a ton of people out there that's in pain.
That's why Emmitt is such a proponent of QC Kinetics, offering real lasting joint pain relief with non-surgical, all-natural biologic treatments.
Whether it's a joint pain, ankle pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, back pain, hip pain, any kind of pain, the body eventually will break down when it's under that much stress.
That stress can cloud your judgment to the point that you'll just say yes to the scalpel or yes to another prescription of pain pills. But maybe it's time for a second opinion from QC Kinetics.
The reason why I would recommend this is because the natural biologics that QC Kinetics is providing you gives your body a chance to naturally heal itself.
Restorative, regenerative solutions are here. Get lasting relief and live your life.
Call QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550. That's 352-400-4550. QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550.
Is your bank dropping the ball, not playing with heart or skill? Then you need to check out the scouting report on Campus USA Credit Union. That's a 5-star recruit if I've ever seen one. Campus has it all, like great rates and products, friendly service, and smart game plans for you and your money. So why not put some star power in your financial life? Visit campuscu.com or any campus service center today.
Honey, can I recruit you to take the garbage out?
Hi there, this is Coach Steve Spurrier, and I want to let you know that by popular demand, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill's delicious brunch is now served in a premium buffet. You have spoken, we have listened, and we're now serving Gainesville's only elevated buffet, complete with an omelet station, ginger sage chicken sausage, shredded short rib, and of course our chicken and waffles. Plus, you can enjoy bottomless mimosas and Bloody Marys. So join us every Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 3 for the best brunch in town.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Silverback Concrete's a family-led team with a heavy concrete specialist that build commercial structure with unrivaled quality. Silverback Concrete, you stand on it, we stand by it. We had Jerry clicked off. We're getting him back on here in just a second. I'll read a couple of that Western Carolina mountain range must be screwing with his cell phone or something. Let's see here. There was something I wanted to read here. Hunter says, what do y'all think the general feeling is towards teammates that transfer to a rival? I would say today's world, nobody cares. I don't think there's any loyalty at all from players that transfer and go on, and especially if it's a big time rival. I don't think players care. Not at all. Andy wants to know if Jerry's related to Jason. No, he's not. No relation at all. So we're waiting on Jerry to connect back with us. But tomorrow is National Signing Day. Trying to get somebody on tomorrow that will give us an update on what's going on. But I would say 100% sure DJ Lagway and LJ McCray signed with the Gators. Unless somebody just outbids us. That's the only way. Justin said, hearing the HBC read off the brunch menu in the commercial makes him laugh every time. I'll have to listen to that. I haven't heard it yet. I don't know why we are having such a hard time getting Jerry Odom on his cell phone. Jeez. I wish there was a way we could just call him on my phone. We need new technology, I guess. Anyway, bear with me, folks, here. We're texting him as we speak. And we'll go from there. All right, let's see here. Landon on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says having 90,000 seats is what makes the Swamp such a great environment. No, I agree with that, but a lot of people want it to be more comfortable, Landon. I think if you take a couple thousand seat out, I think it'll still be extremely loud because of the way the facility is designed. That's going to happen, so people need to go ahead and just get to deal with it. John wants my CFP predictions. I think Alabama will play Texas and win the national title is my prediction. I think Texas is a lot better than Washington personally, but you got to play the game. And I think Alabama will beat Michigan. I just have a feeling they will. I don't know if Michigan's been tested yet. I think Jalen Milroe can give them a lot of issues. Okay. This stinks. We had him on, then he lost him, and all you got to do is hit that one button, and it should connect him. I'm going to send it to you, Zach, and you send this, call him and just tell him to click this button. Jerry should know. He should be doing 1 million of these. All right. In the meantime, let's get to some Peyton Amar text lines. This one is, I don't know who this is from, but it's talking about the list of colleges with the highest endowments. These numbers are in the billions. Texas and Texas A&M are in a different league than everybody else in the SEC. Well, that's true. Coach Odom, can you hear me?
Yeah, you got me now?
Oh, my goodness. We got to get West. I'm going to tell Kerwin he's got to get you a new cell phone. We got Coach Jerry Odom, new defensive coordinator, Western Carolina, courtesy of the Duffield Home Improvements. How you doing, my man? Congratulations.
I'm doing great. How are you, brother?
I'm doing good. So, Coach, real quick, just fill everybody in. Obviously, you did a tremendous job at Tusculum, which is a D2 school. You have a limited amount of scholarships. You kind of built that program. What made it intriguing to go back and work for Kerwin?
Well, I've been there at Tusculum 8 years now, right? And I think my record, wasn't what I wanted to be. I think I was like 5 or 6 games above 500. But the struggle there was, I think this past year I had 23 and a half scholarships. You see, people feel, they think everybody's the same in D2, but the top teams in our league, and I played for the championship this year, but I played against a team that had 35 scholarships. And when you look at it and you break it down, because the way everything's put together, basically you can get probably 2.5 players for each scholarship. So if you have like 11 less scholarships than somebody else, that's almost like having 26 less players on money. That's a full 2 deep plus your kickers plus everybody else. And what that did was it killed depth. And so we just couldn't miss in recruiting. And if you got guys hurt, your starters could play with anybody. But then you kind of fell off the grid a little bit when it came down to, your second and third team guys, or you had to play really young guys. And then we're a very small school. Tusculum's a great place, but the reality of it is I had to raise about 30 grand a year in money, whether it be parking cars at Bristol Motor Speedway, with all my players to, different ways of fundraising just to meet my budget. And I think it just wore on me a little bit. And I love the place. I love the people there, but it's one of those situations where I love calling defense. I love defensive football. I've always called it, even when I was at Tusculum. And I felt like I did about all I could do there. And, I talked to my AD and I just said, hey, I'll do whatever I have to do, but there's nothing here that's helping my career. I feel like I'm helping the school, but I don't feel like I'm getting the same thing back. And that's not a slam on him. It's just we're limited with the resources. And so when Kerwin called me, this is like the 3rd or 4th time I've probably been called by somebody. In fact, I got 2 job offers on the same day when Kerwin called me to call defense. And I just felt like time was right. My farm, I don't want to give that up. I'm only about an hour and 20 minutes from Western. And from where my farm is, I can go back and forth to probably get a little 1-bedroom apartment. My kids are grown. For the most part, I got one still in college. My wife and I can kind of go back and forth and keep the farm. And I think, it's just right time. I love working for Kerwin. He's easy. He knows that, who I am about and what I do. We've worked together before. And I think we have a really good relationship and how we do things.
Yeah, and Kerwin, he's really brought some good talent to Western Carolina. I know they lost a couple of guys in the portal, but now you're an opportunity to compete at the FCS level, which the playoffs have been tremendous, and Montana and South Dakota State are going to play for the national title. Jerry, you've been at that level of football for a long time. It's so strange to me how it seems like there's always somebody out west that wins that national title. Now, every now and then you'll have somebody here from the East or the South, but why are those teams out there dominating the FCS level, in your opinion?
Well, I you look at them, they're all state schools, right? I just think, I think the bottom line is they put their resources into it, right? I mean, you got like Montana State, you've got South Dakota State, you got those people. So that is their they've decided, hey, instead of us going group of 5 or something like that, we're going to stay FCS and we're going to put the resources into this to make ourselves, a powerhouse. And they do a great job coaching, great job recruiting, out there. And I think that's the biggest part. Their facilities are unbelievable when you go out there and watch it. We got to go to Montana next year, so we're gonna see it firsthand.
So you're back with Kerwin. You coached with him at JU. Obviously, as you said, you're going to be in charge, and Kerwin's an offensive guy. So anytime he's comfortable, who has a guy that he can just say, "Hey, you're in charge of the defense, go do it." But him being an offensive guy, because I know when you're struggling, maybe stopping somebody, what's his reaction? Does he just come over and just tell you to just blitz them, all out blitz them? Because I know that's what Coach Spurrier used to kind of do. Kind of tell us how Kerwin kind of reacts during a game.
I think he's a little bit like that, but not really. When I coach for him, he didn't say much to me at all. I think obviously you can't. I'm the guy that doesn't worry about you. You can't worry about that stuff. You gotta just call the defense. And he never chirped in my ear too much. It may be in between series we talk about some things, but like when you're calling it, most head coaches are not going to say a whole lot to you because, as a head, good head coaches, because until the series is over. Now they may have if they're a defensive coach, they may have an idea and you obviously want to listen. Like I'm sure Saban, has ideas and you better listen. But I think when you're a guy that, Kerwin's called plays for a long time, and it's hard to have somebody chirping in your ear when you're calling ball plays. And I've been doing this I've been calling ball plays about 20 years. And so, I'd listen, but he's never really done that to me.
Speaking of calling ball plays, a text on the Titan More text line, Bob from Charlotte wants to know, who do you think Kerwin's going to have replace Cade Bell?
Kerwin, if I had to guess, and I don't know this, but you got a really good young guy there in Rylan Wells, who is Doug Dickey's grandson, who's been with Kerwin a long time, played just like Cade, played quarterback at JU for us, has been with Kerwin, multiple places. I don't know exactly what Kerwin's going to do, but if I had to guess, that's what he'd do. But I mean, the great thing is Kerwin's right there and he's called it a long time too. So I'm not worried about that at all. Cade did a great job, outstanding mind. But let me tell you something, Rylan Wells is super sharp too, along with Kerwin Bell. That offense is in good hands.
Yeah, for sure. Western Carolina had a great offense, as you said, last year, and had a heartbreaker at the end of the year to miss the playoffs. From a recruiting standpoint, Jerry, I know you hadn't even been there for a day or two, but somebody asked on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, will Coach Odom plan to recruit the Space Coast and bring some of that talent to North Carolina?
I think they've already done a pretty good job up there recruiting Florida, Space Coast in general. Also, obviously, that's my home. That's where I'm from. When I was at Tusculum, I think we had 60 guys on our roster from the state of Florida. I've recruited pretty much everybody in that state. We'll still continue to recruit that state the right way, but along with North Carolina, Georgia, South Carolina, I think you're going to recruit the South and then find the best players that fit you that are available. I think you got to do a great job nowadays. Not worrying about the portal so much. I mean, you're going to lose good football players if they have a banner year. There's so much money out there, especially at the FBS level, and they can go and move up. Sometimes that's going to happen, but you can't worry about it. You got to find guys to replace those guys. And I think really talent-wise, Kerwin's done a really good job, especially in the skill positions of really evaluating talent, him and his staff. I've been pretty impressed with what I've seen so far, just in who they have. But then we'll add some guys to go to it too. But I think we'll recruit all those places.
Yeah. Tony has a question on Facebook Live brought to you by Mellon Law. He says, Jerry, what was the biggest difference between what Gary Nardell was doing versus when Jim Bates came in? What defensive style did you like better back then?
Gary was more of a 3-4 guy. I was fortunate. Xavier Nerillion is who I had, and he was a true 4-3 guy as a freshman guy, more of a quarters concept. And then Gary came in and it was quarters with a little bit of cover 2 and then roll cover 3 out of a 3-4 though. So we were plug backers more with that. Then when Jim Bates came in, he was a 4-4-3, which is really weird. But you had Godfrey Miles, who they called the Gator back at the time, who was kind of your between him and Fee Bartley, they were kind of your sub backers and things like that. Me and Tim Paulk were in the middle. And I was, shoot, all those athletic jokers, I was just in charge of getting everybody lined up, things like that. But the 4-4, but we were a true 4-4-3. So we were a true one high. We were a true, cover 3, cover 0, cover 1. So I think those are the things. Batesy was a guy that would bring it, he would bring the house, and then we'd show bring the house and bail out, where Gary was more of a, plug backer, bring 5, 3 under, fire zone, stuff like that. So there's some differences, but for me, it was great because I got to play in 3 systems in 4 years, and then Zucker came in. So I got to play in almost 4 systems in 4 years.
Yeah, and has obviously helped you in your coaching career. Switching gears a little bit, Pierce has this question. He's been asking it, so I'm going to ask you. He wanted our thoughts on what the players' perspective was during training camp and the Oklahoma State game back in '90 with all the murders going on, putting such a cloud over Gainesville, the game, and the team kind of helped the city. But I try to tell people, man, that was one of the strangest situations in my lifetime, because we'd be at practice. We were like the only people in Gainesville, for the most part, on campus.
Yep.
And you would hear sirens, police cars while we were out at practice. And then we'd find out someone else was killed when we'd go in on the news. But it was bizarre.
I agree with you. It was really bizarre. I knew Manny Taboda, so like that was like, he was a pretty, not close friend, but I knew him pretty good. And Manny's a big guy. That was kind of what was scary for me. Everybody's like, wouldn't happen to us, but you're like, man, he's a big dude now. And so you're thinking, if it can't happen to Manny, and then all the stuff that you're hearing and the rumor mill and everything else, and you're right, we were Gainesville was a ghost town. And I just remember Coach Spurrier, like, hey, if they hadn't gone home, it's the one time he said, you can bring your girlfriend in there if you need to protect her and all that. That made me laugh a little bit because it's Coach Spurrier. But, if you need to bring her in Yon Hall, go ahead and do it. And I'm laughing about it a little bit. But it was a scary time, and like you said, very bizarre time.
Yeah. 1966 HBC beer is available at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, Gator Games in the Odom, and select retail outlets. Crisp American Lager, that's 1966 HBC beer. A few more minutes with Jerry Odom, now defensive coordinator of Western Carolina, the Catamounts. Jerry, let's talk portal for a second.
Okay.
Obviously, you follow all of college football. We know the big boys at the FBS level. It's nuts now. Is it just basically a bidding game? And, if Jerry Odom is this linebacker coming out of Merritt Island right now, obviously, you and I probably wouldn't be recruited because we were small. But let's just say Jerry Odom happened to be a big, fast, hard-hitting middle linebacker, and Miami offered you X amount of dollars. If Florida wanted you, they'd have to up the ante to get you. Isn't that what's going on out there right now?
100%. 100%. It is for sure a bidding war for good football players. And, anybody that thinks this thing's not a professional sport in some way, shape, or form has lost their minds. And I think it's funny. I was talking to Cade. He's gone up to Pitt, and we were talking a little bit, and he's like, Cade's a really good recruiter, but I think he's figuring out in a hurry that relationships are secondary to that money now. It's an important part of it. But I think the toughest thing I would say, it's culture on your team with bringing those guys in. Because if you bring in a quarterback, let's say Shane Matthews is a quarterback, and you and I are, like we said, we're probably the guys that don't get recruited, or they don't give us diddly squat. But they bring in somebody else who's a 5-star, and they give him all this money as a young guy, right? And then he's a bust. Well, how does that help your culture in your locker room when people know he's making this much money as a freshman, and these other guys are making, you and I are making diddly squat, but we're playing. And, to me, I think the balance of how you get players, because you got to get them, and that's the reality of the situation, but also how you build culture and don't lose culture in that locker room, where that's still a part of winning. That's still a part of how we do things. And you're dealing with 18-year-old kids, and you're trying to say, and most 18-year-old boys are still kids. Don't fool yourself. And they got Uncle JoJo and everybody else back home telling them this, that, and the other, and trying to influence them one way or the other. And I think that's the balance. And I think that's the hardest part of the game right now, is to find that balance, do a great job of coaching, and then still build those relationships with these kids to get them to play hard for you and get them to do the little things right.
So Jerry, so if you were in charge, what needs to change? Because look, the buying players is going to continue. I don't know how they're going to regulate that, but they can do the old school transfer. Maybe you can transfer one time without sitting out, but some of these guys bouncing around every freaking year is ridiculous.
Well, I think that's getting ready to get worse because one of the legislation things up, I believe, is like them saying that now they can transfer twice. I mean, so I don't see that getting any better. I think the hardest part is, how do you regulate APR, which is how you make sure these kids are graduating, and that, to me, for the schools, that's a nightmare, because you lose points, you gain points if you can't place them in the right place, or these kids get in the portal and don't find a home, and then all of a sudden you lose a point, and then that takes away from you playoffs and things like that. It's kind of ridiculous. I don't know how they're going to keep doing that part of it, but I think the biggest thing is, like I said, I don't see it getting any better. I think what they need to do is, the thing that the NCAA, to me, is you almost said, don't you think you need to regulate it kind of like the NFL? Hey, here's your salary cap. As a freshman, you can make this much. Still going to let you do it, and here's your limit as a freshman, and you're slotted. And then as you get older, maybe by the time you're a junior, it can be unlimited, or if as a sophomore, you get this much. I don't know. There's limits in the NFL. So my question is, why isn't there limits in the NCAA? But I think what people are finding out is those 32 owners in the NFL have a ton of money. But when you start throwing around these collectives and everybody else, I think what you're finding out is college football is almost bigger business than the NFL, because, you're dealing with 32 owners and a ton of money, but you start, throwing a rabid fan base in with a lot of big boosters, and collectively they may be more than what you're getting, in the NFL.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's absolutely nuts. But y'all got to go find some deep pockets at Western Carolina. Start paying y'all's players.
Yeah, I don't know where those are. I'm just getting here, so I'm gonna leave that to Kerwin. I'm gonna try to get some ball players and call some, and try to call some ball plays. I think the SCS level, you're getting a little bit of that. Your top teams, like you said, I'm sure the teams out west that have that stuff have that, and you see it a little bit here or there, but it's just, you would have to have a lot of money to figure that part out. And some teams do. And I think we're trying to work on that kind of stuff. I just don't know exactly where that is. I hadn't been there long enough to know where we are on that.
And Western is in the Southern Conference, right?
Correct.
Yeah, which people around the country at that level consider that the SEC of FCS, correct?
I think so. It's really good. I mean, you look at Furman; they lose in overtime this year in the second or third round to Montana. Had a chance to win that football game. Montana's playing for the whole thing. I think it's really good football week to week. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, Jerry, good stuff as always, buddy. We appreciate your time. Have fun up there with Kerwin.
Absolutely appreciate you, my man.
That's Coach Odom. Old number 57, join us on the Titan Tomorrow hotline, courtesy of Duffield Home Improvements. Greg says on Facebook Live, is he vacationing in the mountains? No, Western Carolina is in the mountains. So that's where he is. Tomorrow we will have, JC will be back. We'll also have, I'm trying to get a couple of people on talk recruiting news. Tomorrow is National Signing Day. Peachland Dentistry, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. Go visit them at peachlanddental.com. Again, I want to thank JC and Jerry Odom joining us on the Titan Tomorrow hotline, courtesy of Duffield Home Improvements. Have a great day, folks, and we'll see you tomorrow.